Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon if you're somewhere else. We are just waiting for folks to file in from the virtual waiting room, and then we'll get started with this morning's webinar. Thanks for your patience as we wait for people to file in here. Once again, good morning or good afternoon. We're just waiting for people to file in from our waiting room, and then we'll get started with this morning's webinar in just another minute or two. Well, I'm sure others will file in as we go along, but we might as well get started here. Thank you all for being here this morning. I'm Bill Maurer. I'm the Dean of the School of Social Sciences at the University of California at Irvine, and I'm glad you're able to join us for today's session on veterans and financial wellness and fostering financial stability for those who have served. The School of Social Sciences at UCI offers a Veteran Studies Certificate program, and it's actually one of only 3 in the country. And I think it's still the only one in California, which is surprising given the high military presence in our state. But it's something we're very proud of. It's something that we do to give back to vets, and also to ensure that we can build a community of vets and non-vets who have awareness of veterans affairs and issues and can go on to serve them. This webinar this morning is part of our effort to give back to the veteran community. Some of you may have been here for another session we did earlier on vets and housing, and today we're focusing on vets and financial security. I'm joined by an esteemed panel. Each will speak in turn for about 10 minutes or so. We're also going to be posting some resources in the chat, and later, after this event is over, we will post the recording as well as those resources on the School of Social Sciences website. But I'm joined by Anthony Hernandez, President and CEO of the Defense Credit Union Council, Lila Quintiliani, the Program Director of Financial and Benefits Education and Counseling of the Military Officers Association of America, Chip Dykes, Vice President for Community Development and Chief Warrant Officer at Frontwave Credit Union in Oceanside, and Jeanine Gilson, Senior Advisor for Strategic Initiatives at the Office of Financial Management in the Veterans Benefits Administration in the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. I'm so glad that they were all able to join us and share their expertise, and I'm looking forward to learning from them and to learning with you about the important issues facing vets and their financial security. So without any further ado, let me turn it over to Tony Hernandez. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, Dr. Maurer, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today as we recognize, our veterans and the work that they've done and continue to do on behalf of our nation. I'm a retired colonel and a veteran myself, having served 25 years in the United States Air Force. It was a great career. I met lots of people, saw lots of interesting things, and again, just the community that I was a part of, still lives on today, and it's a very important community, which is why I'm thrilled that the University of California at Irvine has this Veteran Studies program, because it is a unique community. You have veterans that have unique needs and I guess special life instances where they see different things throughout their life cycle. I joined the Defense Credit Union Council, which is a trade association of credit unions serving on military installations worldwide. We have about 32 million members that are a part of DCUC, and it runs a whole gamut of the entire military life cycle. Everyone from when they enter a basic training and join the military to when they, buy their first car, purchase their first home, start a family, go on through retirement, and then plan for their estate later on. So we encourage our credit unions to offer financial readiness programs that cover the entire military life cycle. It's a pleasure to serve with our nation's credit unions, and it's not just those that are on base, it's all credit unions throughout the United States, because I think I'm pretty accurate in saying that they all have at least one veteran member in their field of membership. And so what DCUC does is we help our credit unions, both our members and America's larger credit union industry, talk to veterans. And so I was thrilled when Dr. Maurer called and asked me if we would help put this program together. And there's a lot of great speakers coming up, and I don't want to steal any of their thunder, but I just want to introduce what DCUC does, what our member credit unions do each and every day, and how we serve our military. And one thing I wanted to share with you was a video we put together last year for Veterans Day, and it works every Veterans Day. But the best thing we see in our community that we can do is just thanking our veterans for their service. And you'll never understand or quite get the feeling when someone just says thank you. And so, Francis, if you can play the video, that would be great.
Since our nation's founding, freedom in America has been anything but free. From the world wars and Korea to Vietnam, from the Cold War to Iraq and Afghanistan, freedom is paid for in blood, in sweat, and in tears. Its currency is sacrifice. Our parents and grandparents, sons and daughters, husbands and wives have left their families and their lives behind to fight for this country. They've shown the commitment and the courage to serve in the world's greatest military, and they've sacrificed their lives to protect ours, so that our children and grandchildren can live free and brave, with peace and prosperity in this country that we call home. Today we come together as brothers and sisters, united by freedom, bound by history, humbled by sacrifice, to say thank you.
Thanks for playing the video, Francis. Yeah, we're real honored that you are taking time to understand and learn about the veteran market. And again, a simple thank you goes a long way. We're very proud of our veterans. We're very thankful for what they have sacrificed so that we can enjoy our freedoms here in our country. And so just want to thank everyone for joining us here today. Got a great lineup that Dr. Maurer put together. And with that, if you have any questions, you can check out our website at dcuc.org. We've got lots of resources to help connect veterans with more information. And with that, Dr. Maurer, I'll turn the program back over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Tony. And thanks for sharing that video. I'm also going to put in the chat DCUC's website, unless maybe someone did just now already, as well as the details for UC Irvine's Veterans Day ceremony, which is going to be tomorrow at 9 a.m. at the flagpole. I'll put the information in the chat in a minute. But now it's my pleasure to invite Lila Quintiliani to come and join us and talk about the work that she does and some of the issues that she follows. Lila, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm one of the benefits and finance and benefits counselors at Military Officers Association of America. And in case you're not familiar with us, we're an association of military officers, but we're also a nonprofit nonpartisan legislative advocacy organization. And we're independent of the Department of Defense or any of the service branches. But what we do is we specifically advocate on pay and benefit issues for the entire military and veteran community and their families. And our government advocacy team has been named top lobbyist for 15 years in a row by the Hill media outlet. And we're, we're a 350,000 plus member strong association. We're about the 4th largest military service organization. We're part of a larger coalition called the Military Coalition, and we're the permanent co-chair of that. I'm not on the government advocacy side. I'm on the finance and benefits side. But I just wanted to highlight some of the legislation we're supporting, and also just some of the issues that veterans face, because veterans can be uniquely susceptible to scams. And I think it's because con artists kind of know that they have benefits that they might be eligible for. And so they're just a target for that. And especially those who are newly transitioning out of the military. They may be leaving the military in an area where they have no support network and no one that they know. And so, these kind of affinity scams where veterans, where con artists say, oh, I'm a veteran too, you should, listen to me, you should buy this life insurance product, you should use me for your, to help you get your VA benefits, et cetera. I think they're uniquely susceptible to these types of scams. I think that Francis has put the link. We are a partner in the Cybercrime Support Network, which specifically focuses on cybercrime and cyber scams that target the military and veterans. And they have a lot of information on their website, and we've also published some of it ourselves on the new PACT Act, which I'm pretty sure that Jeanine will be talking about later. But so I won't go into the details of that, but just it's a new piece of veteran legislation that is very sweeping, and probably the biggest benefits legislation that has been passed since the GI Bill. So there's a lot of fodder out there for these con artists. There's a couple of pieces of legislation that we are supporting that would directly address veterans that are being preyed upon by these financial scams, et cetera. One of them is called, and I have to look at the name because it's the Governing Unaccredited Representatives Defrauding VA Benefits Act, or the GUARD Act. It would reinstate criminal penalties for these unaccredited claim representatives who try to charge veterans fees to access their filing a claim for with the Department of Veterans Affairs to get their disability compensation. And of course, there should never be a fee involved in that. This was just introduced in the House in August, and it already has 101 co-sponsors. And it should be getting a Senate companion soon. And there's a lot of energy behind this bill because people are already seeing what's happening with the Camp Lejeune lawsuits. And in case folks aren't familiar with that, just an aside that the Camp Lejeune, part of this new PACT Act allows folks who were stationed at Camp Lejeune for 30 or more days between August of 1953 and December of 1987, they were exposed to contaminated water. And there's a host of conditions that presumptive conditions that have been connected to that. And in the past, veterans could only, try to get medical benefits covered if they had some sort of condition relating to being stationed there. Well, the PACT Act for the first time allowed compensation allowed for tort claims, compensation other than medical payments. And so, I mean, probably everyone in this audience has seen something. I am not eligible for this particular lawsuit, but I've received stuff in the mail. I've seen, sponsored ads in my internet feeds, and everywhere there's just all these attorneys that are trying to convince veterans to sign on to onto these lawsuits. So because of that, there is a lot of energy behind this, the GUARD Act, and it's possible that it could go as a standalone bill. And then there's also the Military Consumer Protection Task Force Act of 2022. This would have required the Department of Defense to establish an interagency task force on financial fraud and examine current and developing methods of financial fraud that are targeting, active duty service members and veterans. But unfortunately, there's no real chance of it being included in the 2023 National Defense Authorization Act. And then, for those who are interested in these in legislation having to do with veterans and the military, MOAA does have a legislative action center where you can read about key advocacy issues that affect the military. And you can also see the status of all of our supported legislation, like see exactly how many co-signers it has in the House and the Senate, and what stage it's at. And that's in our legislative action center that you can find from moaa.org. And it also has lots of templates where if you find that an issue speaks to you, you can directly email your elected representative to give your opinion on that piece of legislation. And then the last thing, and I think Jeanine will probably talk about this, but we always as counselors, financial and benefit counselors, we always urge veterans to use the services of an accredited veteran service organization, or a VSO. These organizations, they provide claim and appeal services that should always be free of charge, with no requirement to join their association. And some of the big national ones most people have heard of, like Disabled American Vets, DAV, American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, but also almost every state has a county VSO program, and you could just Google your state's Department of Veteran Services. And county VSOs can be very helpful because they also are familiar with any state level benefits that you might be eligible for as well. And so these services are free, and that should, that should cut out a lot of the fraud if people just knew that they didn't have to pay somebody to access their benefits. And I think that's all I have for right now.
That's great, Lila. Thank you so much. And thanks to Fran, who's been putting material and other resources in the chat. And I just want to underscore, before I hand it over to Chip, that if you're talking to someone and they're telling you about an opportunity to gain assistance in getting their benefits for which they're going to be charged a fee, please make them stop. One of the things that kind of got us going in our conversation among ourselves the other day is all of the scams that are out there. And this is in addition to run-of-the-mill predatory products like payday loans and check cashing outlets that are out there and that often are found right around the base. So please, one of the points of this is so that we can convey information that you can take in yourself and then also share with others. But Chip, let me turn it over to you, and let's hear about what you're doing down in Oceanside.
Good morning, Dr. Marr. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I also want to thank you for having the Veterans Day observance on the 247th Marine Corps birthday tomorrow. I appreciate that. My name is Chip Dykes. I am a retired Chief Warrant Officer, United States Marine Corps. I am the Vice President of Community Development at Frontwave Credit Union. Most of you have probably never heard of us. We were founded on Camp Pendleton in 1952 for Marines by Marines. And fast forward 70 years now, we're open to the community in multiple Southern California communities. I want to dial in a little smaller from our two previous presenters to what we do actually at Frontwave in regards to financial services for our active duty military dependents and our community at large, as we are in 14 locations around Southern California. We are proud members of DCUC and with Tony Hernandez. And as the on-base financial institution, we have a unique relationship with the base and our veteran community. And one of the stigmas that we've very successfully overcome is within the military community. And if there's anybody on this that is military or veteran, probably has heard this once or twice, is that if you are a financial institution, you're trying to steal the service members' money. And I know I heard it throughout my career on active duty. And I have a team that works with me, a military relations team that goes out to break that down. One of the ways we break that down is simply by going to the military community and explaining to them the different regulations that are out there that guide on-base financial institutions. There's multiple Department of Defense instructions. There are credit union liaison guides. There's banking regulation guides. There are Secretary of the Navy instructions, Army instructions, Marine Corps orders, you name it, they're all out there, and they guide the on-base financial institution in the business and services that they would provide to their community that they serve. And Tony had spoke earlier about working even off the installations, and we do that as well. So we have great relationships with the commands, with the generals and the leaders, and even down to the lowest level to provide those services, regardless of who they bank with. Really our mantra is we want a financially fit military. We don't care who they bank with. We want a financially fit military. And so how do we do that? Financial education, of course, is the baseline. And just some examples of that is we teach Marine Corps recruits at MCRD San Diego 2 days a week, basic financial things to get them started in their military life. We teach as you move on into different courses of instruction throughout their career. We teach budgeting, we teach savings, we teach credit, auto buying, home buying. There's a Secretary of the Navy instruction, and I'm sure the Department of the Army, the Air Force have similar instructions that outline 16 classes that service members are supposed to get throughout their lifetime in the military. And we've mastered those 16s, and we provide those 16 classes whenever requested to teach it. And that baseline education just grows with their military career as they go on. Also, what we do is, as the on-base financial institution, all of our people are certified credit union financial counselors. So we can sit down kneecap to kneecap with service members or veterans and their families, and now even those people in the community who may or may not be a veteran, and go over those things. Let's talk about budgeting and auto buying and how to buy a home and things like that. When it comes to the specialty items, the insurance, things you need Series 7s licenses for and stuff, we stay out of that business, but we pass that on to our service professionals who know how to do those things. A major part of that financial education is fraud and scams. And unfortunately, one of the benefits that the pandemic gave us was people turning to the digital age a lot faster than we had anticipated. And that was a benefit because we've tried to teach people for years. Well, if your credit union is at MCRD San Diego, but you're stationed in Okinawa has internet and you can access your banking institution. So let's not worry about that. However, that brought fraud to the forefront very quickly. I think the last year's statistic for 2021 was about 22% of all service members were defrauded in some way, or at least had attempted fraud on their account with their financial institution. So we talk about fraud quite often. It's a major part of our package. Unfortunately, our young military, probably about 40% of them have never had a bank account, and now they do. And they're getting hit left and right. And somebody spoke on it earlier about internet fraud and the different types. I would tell you that the most prevalent type right now is account takeover, and usually account takeover takes over via social media, where they're befriended on social media, they're away from home for the first time. Somebody befriends them on social media and says, hey, I can help you out. I can get you more money if you'd like. Just send me a check for $300 and I'll send you back a check for $600. And these young service members are often lost in the sauce when it comes to that kind of thing. So we go out and teach those types of things. We want and we try as best we can to prevent that. And I would tell you that one of the major messages that we pass is that their financial institution will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to them via social media to access their accounts. And it's a redundant conversation we have. We have it with them in boot camp twice. When they get out to what we call the Fleet Marine Force, we have it with them again. When they get to leadership courses, we have it with them again and again and again. And we have it with the leadership again and again, so they can pass that on to the young military. So we're very proactive, and I want to take it out of the military real quick just to say we also provide these classes. I personally teach at Cal State San Marcos down here in SoCal, and I teach freshmen. And I have 5 classes per semester where I teach these basic things to them, because you could pretty much transpose the 18-year-old college freshman to recruit training. They're kind of the same people, just went down 2 paths in life, but they're experiencing the same things. And we provide those types of that type of education out there. So that's our baseline. That's what we're doing at Frontwave. My department is very proactive in that. I know last year alone, we taught over 30,000 Marine sailors, family members, and community members these basic principles of finance. Once again, my whole team is all Marines. We're all military. We've been there. We've done that. We've all been drill instructors. In fact, all of my team has combat service. We know what they're going through. Many of our transitioning military, we can look them eye to eye and go, hey, brother, sister, we've been there. We've done that. Here's some mistakes we see. Here's some mistakes we made. And we're with you, and we're here to help you through that. So that's down on the street level. I think that's all I have. I'll toss my my email and phone number into the chat, and feel free, if you call my cell phone, I will answer. And or if you want to chat with me and text message me, I definitely will answer, because I'm all about that financial fitness for our young Americans and our military. Thanks, Dr. Maurer.
Chip, thank you. Thanks so much. And thanks for everything that Frontwave is doing. Let me hand it off to Jeanine Gilson next. I see there's a question in the Q&A, but we'll come to that after Jeanine speaks. And if there are other questions, please feel free to write them in the Q&A field as well. And I know Jeanine has been having some technical difficulties, but hopefully, Jeanine, you can join us right now. I'm crossing my fingers for Zoom. Come on. I can hear you, Jeanine, I think. And now we can see you.
I will apologize right now. I'm getting a bit of delay on my screen and through my microphone. So it's still sort of playing Chip's language and the briefing he gave. So as soon as I stop talking, apparently his voice comes up. So I will keep speaking and and hope that I'm not actually talking over him. So with that, if this happens, if someone could shoot me a quick note and let me know, I would be happy to try and troubleshoot on my end. Anyway, my name is Jeanine Gilson, and I am here from the Department of Veterans Affairs, Veterans Benefits Administration, and I am here to talk with you today about fraud prevention and what we are doing today to help veterans avoid fraud and be aware of some of the scams that are out there for that are targeting veterans right now. So if we could go to the second slide in my briefing, what I'd like to show is an infographic here. And the message I'd like to leave you with is that if something looks too good to be true, it is. And so those types of advertisements that you're hearing online or on your television, or if you're seeing them in Facebook, saying, hey, you know, we are here today to help veterans get benefits for a fee, or anything along those lines where it sounds too good to be true, please be cautious of that. So on the second page of the slide presentation, which regrettably I can't see from my screen, so I'm going to go from memory here for a moment. But basically, what we are making sure people are aware of is how to be aware of what is out there. And one of the things that we caution veterans about is please make sure that you're cautious. Be cautious of any kind of advertisements that are coming out from legal firms. Make sure you are also cautious of people who are aggressively pushing their agenda for you as a veteran to sign up for some sort of assistance. That the only way you can get their assistance is to sign up, and the only way you can get benefits is to sign up with them. And those things are patently not true. We are also looking at ensuring that veterans are aware of the types of scams that are out there when individuals are really looking at, I'm going to pull this up on my screen so I can see it a little bit better. Thank you. But basically, any kind of aggressive emails where people are saying, hey, you need to sign up now. And if you don't sign up now, you're not going to get the benefits that you deserve. That pressure that is being exuded upon those veterans and service members, that's not healthy. And it is something that should be sending alarm bells off with people. Additionally, and as I briefly mentioned, you know, we're looking for people to be aware of the things that they see on the web, making sure that those advertisements advocating for legal representation, those aren't things that they need to be focusing on. There are plenty of organizations that can help veterans free of charge, to include veteran service organizations, to include the Department of Veterans Affairs, to file those claims. We've also seen scams where companies have reached out to veterans and pretended to be, or spoofed their address to be that it looks a lot like VA. So they might be using some iteration of the VA seal. They might be using some iteration of the VA's, you know, kind of red, white, and blue colors in the American flag. Again, VA does not affiliate with any private companies, although we do have a list of accredited representatives, and I'll get to that in a moment. So how are we protecting veterans against fraud and advocating and amplifying our messaging? So we've got a huge outreach campaign that we're working on to warn veterans about these potential scams. We've got some tremendous internal and external partnerships that we are really working hard to share those communications artifacts. So for example, the Veterans Benefits Administration is putting our publications in our VA hospitals so that when veterans go to an exam, they can also get information about how to file a claim for benefits. And when we do identify fraud, or fraud is brought to our attention, we collaborate with VA's Office of Inspector General to make sure that those allegations are investigated and that we fully prosecute criminals to the greatest extent of the law. Now, on my next slide, I'm going to share with you some important messaging so that if you are a veteran yourself, or if you are a family member of a veteran or a caregiver for a veteran, or have a veteran in your life whom you love, here are some things that you can share with them. You can have for yourself, again, if you're a veteran. And that is, if you are going to apply for PACT Act benefits, apply today. Within the first year of the legislation being passed, we are able to have the effective date for benefits be retroactive to the date when those benefits were awarded, when that law was passed on August the 11th of 2022. If you apply after August 10th of 2023, your effective date for those benefits is going to be that date forward, or whatever day you apply. So apply now and apply directly to VA. You know, in this presentation, and we'll share it in the chat, you know, you can apply online for benefits with VA through va.gov, or you can apply in person at any regional office. Please don't sign any contracts that agree to pay an unauthorized company any portion of your benefits or any fee to help you with your VA claim. There are veteran service organizations that are out there that I mentioned before. So the American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, your county veteran service officer, the state of California's veteran service organization, who will help you file your claim free of charge. They can help you. We also have published a list of accredited agents and attorneys that have been kind of gone through VA's vetting process and are fully able to help you file a claim, and they are legitimate benefit assistance that you can have. Please understand that no individual or organization can charge you a fee for when you file your initial veterans claim. That's against the law. They can't do that. Be aware of companies who are claiming to contact you, as I mentioned, on behalf of VA. That is not what we are looking to do at all, is to have you sign up with them. Please don't do that. That is, and be aware of the media advertisements that you've seen. Again, I mentioned that a little earlier. And as with any document that requires a signature and can be legally binding, please review any and all documents that you get. Don't sign a blank form and have somebody else complete it for you. And please, when you enter into any kind of these support relationships, keep a copy of that documentation for yourself. On the last page of my briefing, I do have a list of resources here for you, for veterans in your lives, to share as deeply and broadly throughout the veteran community as you can. But it does list, you know, where to apply for PACT Act benefits, and gives you a link. It does provide the link to our accredited agents and attorneys page. So you can click on that, or the veteran in your life can click on that and identify, is the attorney who is reaching out to me or who I would like to work with accredited by VA and vetted and fully capable of assisting me without going through any of the predatory practices that we're seeing. And we've got at the very end of this slide deck here, if you feel, or if a veteran feels that there is an entity that is falsely advertising their capabilities, to we've worked with the Federal Trade Commission to try and ensure that they are aware and that veterans can actually file complaints with the Federal Trade Commission. And last but not least, we do have the VA's Office of Inspector General hotline, and we are working with them hand in glove to prosecute these criminals. And so, yep, hello? Oh no, this is this must be the time delay I'm seeing. Okay, so I'll just finish this and say, last but not least, we've got the VA OIG hotline link there, so that if you do suspect fraud, please report it to the Inspector General, and we will partner with them to prosecute these criminals to the fullest extent of the law. I apologize for the technical difficulties I seem to be having today. I'm really sorry. And I am hopeful that this information is helpful to you. Thank you very much. And I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Jeanine, thank you so much. Hopefully you're hearing me in real time, but if not, maybe you'll hear this later. And folks, please do feel free to put questions in the Q&A. I'm going to turn it back to Tony Hernandez in just a second. But since Jeanine mentioned the Federal Trade Commission, they have a wonderful service where they, I'm going to put it in the chat, they do consumer alerts about financial scams that are out there as they emerge, as they learn about them. And I hate to say it, but the email alert for today is all about charity scams for veterans. And it basically talks about how this is the time of year when charity scammers put out all kinds of things saying that they're crowdfunding for a specific individual or family, or that they are running a charity in support of veterans. This is the time of year when they try to tug at heartstrings and get people to give to fake charities. And the bit of advice that the Federal Trade Commission always gives, if you're asked to give money to something like a charity, is to use a credit card, because you have a higher degree of consumer protection with a credit card to get your money back if something goes wrong than you do if you are doing a wire transfer, or if you're asked to send a gift card, which is often what these scammers will ask. But Tony, I know you wanted to jump in, and then we'll have some time for some Q&A after that.
Yeah, sure, Bill. And along those lines, I know we're working with a number of credit union, fellow credit union leagues at the state level. With what you just mentioned, a lot of scams going on, particularly with senior veterans. They get taken advantage of an awful lot. And so if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Again, use your local credit unions, as a sounding board. Our mission is financial wellness for our members, and helping them out with that advice. And we've done a lot of, lots of stories of what I call glove saves in helping a lot of our veterans. But I did want to mention one program that we are championing and working with the Veteran Benefit Administration, and that is the Veteran Benefit Banking Program. And what that is participating banks and credit unions offering a free checking account for veterans to receive their veteran benefits via direct deposit. And what that allows veterans to do is no longer get their veteran benefits, with a paper check, which can be lost or damaged. And if you're in a hurricane area or a California wildfire, or you name it, paper checks are very, very hard to lose and to reclaim. Or on the debit card that the Veteran Benefit Administration will issue as well. It's much easier to have direct deposit into a free checking account. And so we have a lot of participating banks and credit unions that are members of the Veteran Benefit Banking Program. And you can Google it and find the links. It's Veterans Benefits Banking Program. And that, again, that is a free program that's offered to our veterans. And you don't need to be a member of DCUC, to join it. Just check out the requirements. But if you know someone, veteran that's needing those benefits or needs that help, please bring them into the credit union to help out. And I saw a question earlier about credit card debt and financial education. One thing that's required, that DoD requires defense credit unions, is we must provide financial readiness education on the installation for free. And we work hand in hand with DoD's personal financial managers. We offer a variety of programs and services. all the member needs to do is ask. And 9 times out of 10, and Chip, you can probably back me up on this. If there's a program the credit union offers, whether it's a skip pay program, or a debt consolidation program, or something that we can offer, we will work very hard with the member to try to get them on the right footing to get out of the hole that they're in. I think that was a question that was asked in the chat earlier. But anyway, I just wanted to thank Bill for that opportunity to come back and talk about that. And we're also very concerned about 27% of our veterans, or 4.6 million. There's a study coming out later on this week that talks about 27% of our nation's 17 million veterans struggle to make ends meet. 6% of those are below the federal poverty level, and the other 21 are living paycheck to paycheck. And so, when we talk about food insecurity or a rising interest rate, this becomes a growing problem. And we're partnering with lots of agencies to see what we can do to help. With that, Dr. Maurer, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks so much. And for those who are keeping track, Tony, Lila, and Chip have also responded to Dr. Lubin's question in the Q&A on that issue of credit card debt and financial literacy. So please dip into that and check that out. I wanted to see if I could get Chip in here again, because we've hit on scams quite a bit, but I'm also concerned about predatory financial service providers. And we spoke about this when we were talking earlier. When you drive off base at Pendleton, you're driving off base and then you go down, I guess, a canyon or whatever, and like one of the first things you see is a couple check cashing outlets. And so I wanted to ask you, how does Frontwave try to get in front of that relationship that the check cashing outlets are trying to create with people in Oceanside? Because that's a huge challenge. And yeah, please.
Yes, sir. It actually it's part of our messaging and our education package. One, if everybody doesn't know it, in the state of California, payday lenders are off limits to the military. Unfortunately, we face the concept of these lenders not asking for a military ID, just recognizing it's an interesting haircut, but they don't have to ask them if they're military. So it is part of the educational process. We're very proactive in our local communities as best we can to put those payday lenders on notice. It's an interesting ability we have as former military. And I know base commanders in the area have also published directives to put some of these places off limits to the military. It is an ongoing challenge that we face, and along that line also, part of our education process is the buy here, pay here concept, which we've faced with some unscrupulous auto dealerships, where a young service member walks in and they, instead of coming in with a loan from their bank or their credit union, the dealership says, well, how much can you afford to pay? And the kid says, well, I can pay $200 a month. And, okay, sign right here. And they're paying $200 a month for 10 years for a $4,000 car. So it is part of that education process. It's ongoing. The relationship between financial institutions and their military installations locally, whether they be on base or off base, is critical to letting command leadership know who the unscrupulous dealers are in town. Because typically we find out almost immediately after it takes place, or within 6 months after it takes place, when they're starting to be that person who, is now living below the poverty line or is living to paycheck, as Tony said.
Thanks. Are there any other questions from the folks in attendance here? Please feel free to put them in the Q&A. I'll just give people a minute. All right, well, if not, please join me in thanking our fantastic panelists this morning, Chip, Tony, Lila, and Jeanine. Thank you so much. Oh, someone just put in a question right when I said that. Oh, it's a thank you. And thanks, Professor Casavantes Bradford, for that thank you. I'm just thrilled we were able to do this. I know that there's always a need for these sorts of programs, so we will keep doing it. We'll probably come back again to the issue of financial wellness and financial literacy. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for attending. Thank you to the veterans who were here for your service. As Fran has just posted, we'll be sending out the resources and the recording later on to everybody who was here, but also everybody who registered but couldn't attend. And we'll be making that available also on the School of Social Sciences website here at UCI. So again, to the panelists, thank you so much. Thank you, Fran, for working in the background to make this happen, in spite of some of the technical challenges we had this morning. Again, tomorrow at 9 a.m. at the flagpole at Aldrich is the Veterans Day recognition ceremony. Hope you can all join and tell a friend, bring a friend. Thank you all again for your service, and thank you so much to the panelists. Have a wonderful rest of your day.